Hello and welcome to the WB Mason Coaches Report on GoHofstra.com. Joined as always by the head coach of the Hofstra baseball program, John Russo. Coach, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right, Coach, let's get to it. A 4-game weekend down in Central Florida at the Russo Central Florida Invitational. 1-3, some good, some bad. Let's start with, even though it was a loss, still think a good college baseball game. A 1-0 loss to ACC opponent Pitt on Friday night, falling on a Pitt run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Michael James gives you the best start of his career, the longest start of his career, 7 innings, all shutout innings, 6 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. What was your perspective of the Pitt game?
You know, I think we came out and got off to a hot start. We had first and second there, no outs. I think that gave us some confidence, even though we didn't score. And then, you know, Michael put a guy or two on in the first and then got out of it. But more importantly, you know, I think he just set the tone for the whole game after the bottom of the first inning. He came in the dugout, and instead of being caught up into what was going on in the game, he was really caught up into his stuff. And, you know, I remember almost specifically him telling our pitching coach, Blake Nation, that if, you know, he finds this pitch, he's going to have 3 pitches in play, and then we're going to be good to go the rest of the game. And he was right. He found the pitch, and he had 3 pitches. And to be, you know, completely honest and blunt, it was a pretty easy 7 innings for him. I mean, as good as stuff and outing as he's had in his career, I think in college, he, you know, went 7 innings against the ACC team and probably easily could have went on 8th. But, you know, I just didn't want him to see the lineup the 4th time. Plus he got, you know, 8-9-1, I think, was what he got in his last inning of work. And, you know, I think he gave us a yeoman's effort. And, you know, we got to tip your cap to Pitt. I think they beat us in the 8th inning. I mean, even though we had a leadoff walk, Murray, you know, got their 3-hole hitter out, Ron Washington, to pop up. And we brought in Skid to face their lefty 4-hole. And he got down to count the 2-0 breaking ball for a strike, and then another 2-1 breaking ball, and the kid hit it to left center, and it's as good a swing as, you know, anybody made on us the whole weekend. And you know, and that was the 1-run difference. And you know, I didn't like what we did with the at-bats for sure that game. I think it was like 14 strikeouts out of our 27 outs, but that was something we improved on the weekend.
Talk about the offense in that game. You know, 5 hits, all from the top 3 spots in the order. And that was a how do you rectify that going forward to try to get more hits from the bottom of the order?
You know, the thing was we're just, you know, I'm playing everybody. I think every position player, again, in Florida got a start on the weekend, you know, and so we're kind of looking for some stuff. But I think in that game, you know, we got a little, what would be, foreshadowing of the rest of the weekend. I thought Joyce and Anthony were really good at the top of the order, and then Austin's been good all year, and then, you know, as the weekend went on, Vito started to hit more, so then we got a 4th guy, and then Ron Weishire started to hit really well, and then Parker's continued on. So I think we're starting to solidify some things offensively, and that was good for us. You know, we're all getting to see stuff, we're all watching, and you know, things are getting better.
All right, 2 games on Saturday, a loss to Central Michigan, and then a win against St. Peter's. Central Michigan game kind of got out of hand, 24-7 loss, and then 14-9 win over St. Peter's with season-high 15 hits, and Ryan Rue picks up his first collegiate win. So just take us through Saturday, both the good and the bad.
Yeah, so, you know, Brad coming off the first week of having a great outing, you know, he went 60 pitches, 2 innings, and Brad will be the first person to tell you he just wasn't his best outing. And then I thought Jed came in and had a really good inning and then struggled in his 2nd inning. And then Jimmy came in and he had 2 good innings and then had struggled in his 3rd inning of work. And the problem with the struggle was, you know, we got it to 12-7, I think, at one point, and then we go out and give up a 12-run inning. You know, we've got to be able to find 3 outs and before 12 runs. And Central Michigan, we knew coming into the game was going to be as good as hitting team as we had seen this year, and they were just a really good, experienced ball club. But, you know, we threw 230 pitches, I think, in the course of that Central Michigan game, and just super not competitive. But on the bright side of things, kids got to get out on the mound, and that's the one spot they learn. And we're not, you know, upset or impatient or anything with it. They just got to be better, because it's one of those things where if you keep throwing bullpens and you're inside and you don't get to put it onto the field, you think, hey, I'm throwing pretty good, but then you go out in the field, you're not throwing the same strikes, and you're not the same competitive. So the kids get to learn from that. So, today is a big day of bullpens for us. And so hopefully they can go out and execute better in their bullpens today because they know what they had to work on the weekend. In the second game against St. Peter's, Rue was incredible. To be funny was, after the game, I forgot that it was his first win because in my head he wanted Incarnate Word. That's how good he threw in the first outing. And so, he was really good. And the better thing about this outing is he went 6 innings and didn't have much, but as a freshman, he's doing what we're asking all the kids to do is just go out there and compete, throw strikes, let stuff happen. And, he only had, I think 2 walks or something on the day. And then, that game was 14-2, and we really swung the bat well throughout the order. And, just had a really good game overall. And then the only hiccup was we give up the 7 runs in the 7th inning there that, I wasn't very happy about to make it a game. But then in turn, it got the freshman Michael Murray back out there, and he closed down the last 2 innings with some high tension. St. Peter's scored 7 runs. They were super excited. We had 0 momentum after that, but Murray went out there, and I've got to give, I don't know if you can see it on stats, but, Kevin O'Connor throws a guy out to start the inning at second base. Tyler White throws a guy out at the plate to end the 7th inning, or it could have been more runs than the 7 they scored. And then in the 9th inning, Tyler White throws a guy out at first base on a guy extending it. And, those 2 players saved us a whole inning of outs for our pitching staff at a time that they really needed it. And I thought that they were as good a plays defensively as we had on the weekend. And, at big times by really good, experienced players that, they didn't start that game. They came in defensively, and I couldn't have been more impressed with how much they helped us out in that game.
All right. And then you close out the weekend with a 10-5 loss to Butler. Vito Freesia, it's his first home run of the season. He gets 2 hits. He's on base 2 more times via walk. I think Vito's hitting 250 for the year, but his on-base percentage is well over 500. He's been patient at the plate. So as you said, the hitting's starting to pick up, but his on-base percentage has been good all season so far. And then, Anthony D'Onofrio continues his hot hitting. He's hit in all 4 games. Really solidified his role at the top of the order, it looks like. So what did you see against Butler?
I gave Vito a hard time on Sunday before the game. I kidded him a few ways. I said, hey, if you were just hitting 200, you'd have an 500 on-base percentage. So I think you could go in the game like 120 or 130. And then I said, hey, going into the season, I was looking for people to protect you. Now I'm looking for somebody to protect Austin, because I think Austin's hitting real good. And then Vito goes, hey, it's going to be that kind of day, coach. I go, listen, we need you to get going, big guy. And, he came back and answered with a 2 for 3 with, a single to right field in the very first at bat, and a walk, and then a homer. And his homer was crushed to dead center, and then, another walk. And that's the Vito we know. And the thing I liked about it more than anything is he was having fun. He was excited to hit, and he quit thinking about things. And so that really helped the offense. I think something that helped him too is, Rob really swung the bat well on the weekend and was able to hit behind him. And then I think Parker behind Rob really solidified some stuff. So we got some really things going well. And the big thing was, like you said, Anthony at the top of the order. The one thing we've known about Anthony since he's been here is he's tough. He's a tough kid. The thing he's been in the last month and a half that's you can't teach is he's been coachable. Never have I seen a kid open up in the last month and, wanting to absorb information and then going out and applying it in games. And, he just wasn't that way, to start in January. And you got to give him all the credit in the world for, being open to being coached. And he's a freshman. It's a scary thing to do, to change stuff you've done your whole life and been a really good player, but to want to succeed at a higher level. And, I think he's a good example for everybody. And I think Jimmy Joyce is starting to do that some, really up there at the top of the order. And, I don't want to get away from Fiello had a good start. He just made freshman mistakes. In the very first inning, he had 2 outs, nobody on. He walks 3 hole. He gets behind 4 hole, hits a home run. The next inning, he has 8 hole, walks 8 hole with 2 outs, nobody on. Gives up a single behind to 9 hole, and then a really good hitter hits a 3-run homer. So, 5 of his runs were 2 outs, nobody on. And I think the more he gets out there, he's going to learn from this situation. I talked to him after the game. I said, hey, what do you learn? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, come on, man, we got to get better from this outing. And he's like, I got to throw my breaking ball better for strikes. I got to put stuff away from 2 outs. And I said, then that's worth its weight in gold, if you learn that, because we need him to apply it once we get to his next outing and his next conference. So he gave me a lot of hope. And, I thought Andrew Monday gave us his longest outing, I think of his career maybe. And he was really, really good again. And that gets lost in that game. So, if we take away those 5 runs we gave out with 2 outs, nobody on, and we had bases loaded, 1 out at one point, and we could have changed that game. But I thought Butler was a really good team, and more importantly, I'm just really happy with how this team is growing and getting better.
All right, and some more opportunity to get better this weekend. Obviously, home opener on Thursday got canceled due to the frigid temperatures. Snow still on the field, but Friday and Saturday and Sunday at Fordham against Iona and Fordham still on the schedule. What are you hoping for this weekend against some local teams?
I want pitching to get better. That's my first foremost goal is, we've got 4 to 5 guys that we think we can count on right now. We need to make that number, 7 to 9. And that's what we need to find out here before we get to conferences. We can all see who the 4 or 5 are. Who's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we have no guess on that order right now. And, the bigger thing is we love playing local opponents. Paul Panik's really got Iona. It's his first year with the program. Great coach. Kids love to play for him. They're going to be tough. Last time we faced Fordham, I think at their place they struck out like 23. We struck out 23 times, and he returns a lot of the same pitching staff in a 10-inning game. And so we've got our hands full for sure, with their teams and at the plate. But I really like Kevin, Paul's teams and stuff, and it's a really equal matchup going into the weekend. So it gives us a good barometer. It'll be a little cold on Friday. Saturday will be a little bit better, but listen, it's the same temperature for both teams. We're just excited to keep playing, and I'm excited that this team played hard this past weekend. They played hard down in San Antonio. I want them to keep playing hard, and then we'll fix the mistakes we're making and hopefully have stuff figured out before Charleston.
All right. I'm Len Scaros. This is John Russo, and you've been watching the WB Mason Coach Report on GoHofstra.com.